Right now, with this extraordinary news flow on China, and particularly on the structure of our technological companies, Michael Wolff joins us to say he's Activate co-founder and CEO. Describes his commitment to private equity into investment in innovation and technology. Michael, you're the right guy to speak to right now. WeChat is an app. A judge over the weekend said WeChat is a business, and you've got to show some national security proof to eliminate it. What are your thoughts on WeChat as a business?
WeChat is used by over 1.2 billion people, mainly in China. And people don't understand that in China, WeChat is almost like the internet itself, because people use WeChat for payments. They use it for their actually apps inside of WeChat. They use it to talk, for voice. They use it for commerce. And so by banning WeChat, essentially in the U.S., you're impacting not only the 20 million or so people in the U.S. who use it, mainly people who have to communicate with China, but you're actually hurting American companies' chances of doing business in China, given the fact that so much commerce takes place today on WeChat itself.
Well, within this is the legal discussion. I mean, this is what you're expert at, is melding in investment into all those documents you have to review on any transaction. What is WeChat's voice in America? Who represents WeChat to the Trump administration?
Well, I mean, clearly there's been legal representation in last week, and the judge delayed the banning of WeChat as a First Amendment issue. I think the broader issue is what WeChat's, the recent moves against WeChat, as well as what we saw in terms of TikTok. And the issue is that all we're going to do is throw flames against, more gas on the flames of this Chinese techno-nationalism, where we end up with the U.S. internet and the Chinese internet and the internet and the rest of the world being very separate. And so the Chinese aren't going to let this happen so easily. And we should expect that they're going to do the same thing to us. They're going to say that American companies that are based in China should either be banned or should be owned by local companies.
Michael, do you see, whatever happens in November with the U.S. election, do you see just much more antagonizing relationships between the U.S. and China when it comes to technology?
I mean, there's a lot there's a lot of substantial issues about China. There are these issues about security. There are these issues about intellectual property, but they need to be negotiated. China views companies like WeChat and TikTok and Huawei as what they call their technology champions. And so by trying to put them out of business out of the United States, we're really, our negotiating position isn't the same as in the future, where we're able to find ways in which there's some real regulatory regimes that get followed. And so I don't think whichever administration is in place, there's not going to be those issues are going to remain, but at the same time, there's just going to be a different approach on how to deal with them.
Okay, was TikTok and the solution found there with Oracle an elegant way to find a solution that is actually acceptable to both sides?
I think that the administration failed in its goal of making TikTok a company that was owned by U.S. companies. In fact, what we end up with is really sort of an unclear ownership that we're not sure how much anyone's going to invest. I mean, ostensibly, between Oracle and Walmart, they end up owning 20% of the company, but that's really just a right for them to invest in the future. And we end up with Oracle owning about 12.5% and Walmart owning 7.5%. And so, yes, the company, the U.S. TikTok is going to be managed here, but it really doesn't change the nature of the overall ownership. We're in a position today where TikTok is going to continue to be important. Almost 100 million people use it in the U.S. And what's most valuable in TikTok which didn't become part of this U.S. deal, is the artificial intelligence, is the algorithm that surfaces TikTok's videos to its users. The data is important, but the data is still going to be integral to the operation of how TikTok not only surfaces those videos, but gets you to stay in front of your phone, continuing to watch more and more TikTok videos.
Michael, but do you see China retaliating? Actually, you know, if they say that this solution could be palatable, but do you see them retaliating against U.S. tech stocks in the future?
I think it's going to be less against tech stocks, and the retaliation is going to be more about trying to much more overt ways of limiting American companies' presence in China. This is part of a trend that's very troubling from the U.S. perspective. Banning Huawei, stopping Broadcom from making its acquisition of Qualcomm. It ends up all it ends up doing is separating off from the U.S. from China. When, from the internet perspective and from technology's perspective, this is one global ecosystem, and we need to be part of it.
All right, thank you so much for joining us. Michael J. Wolf there, Activate co-founder and chief executive.